Hello everyone, and welcome to another beer review. Now, I hope everybody's having a good day, because I am. Because I'm by myself. Well, not really by myself. I'm almost by myself. The wife and the youngest boy, they buggered off to Russia to go and visit relatives and things like that and friends, which is great and wonderful, because it gives everybody a break from each other, and by God, sometimes do we need it. Oh yes, we do. The only slight downside is I'm still left with the oldest boy, who, I'll be totally honest, he's a bit of a deviant. Yes, he's a bit of a deviant. It's not so bad during the week when he's at work, because he's got to obviously go to his bed at normal times, but see at weekends, oh Jesus, you're in your bed and he's creeping about, basically up all basically night. God knows what he's doing. And of course he's raiding the kitchen all the bloody time and things like that. So that's the only kind of downside. But apart from that, I'm actually quite happy because I've got freedom. Freedom to do what I want. And do you know what I do? I sit in my house and I do nothing. That's what I do. Because that's what freedom brings you. Piles. Anyway, or hemorrhoids is a nice way of putting it. Right, so today we're back on the Scottish series. Woohoo! Yes, and it's not Belhaven, that's why I'm woohooing. Yes. So we may actually have a good beer today. Don't hold your breath because quite a lot of the other Scottish ones haven't been that great either, but hopefully this time this will be better. So, which one are we doing today? Well, we're doing Inveralmond Brewery Ossian Refreshing Golden Ale. Ooh, yeah. That's all that covers that for the Instagram and thumbnails and everything else. So apparently it's a refreshing golden. It's not just a golden ale, but it's a refreshing golden ale, and that tells me that the alarm bells ring. And that you just can't say it's a golden ale and let other people make up their mind. You've got to tell them. You've got to steer them. Which then starts to kind of tell me, is it really refreshing? Is it? But anyway, it's about £2 a bottle, 4.1%. It's the Inveralmond Brewery. You know, there's spill in the back. The Scots, eh? Any opportunity. Yes, absolutely. Yes, let's talk pish to people. Our brewers selected flavour-packed, slow-kilned ale malt, cara malt, and biscuity malted wheat to craft a malt backbone, which is then beautifully complemented by a heady hop aroma of zesty lemon and orange citrus. This golden ale finishes refreshing and moreish amongst many awards. Cask Ossian has won Champion Beer of Scotland. Which I would probably look back and think, well, that's actually not a bad thing in the past. Now, well, up against Brewdog and Belhaven, it's really not much of a contest, is it? Arseholes. Anyway, this beer is named after legendary Scottish figure Ossian, whose home is reputed to be less than 10 miles from our brewery. Where is your brewery? That's interesting, isn't it? Oh, the Innis Gunn, Inveralmond Brewery. I should have got that as the Inveralmond, but Jesus, I'm thinking that rings a bell. And I thought, right, don't try and think about it when you're actually doing a video, because you end up getting it wrong and you look like an arsehole. So what did I do? Still look like an arsehole. Right, okay. Anyway, so yes, it's Innis Gunn. There's a surprise. Well, I suppose this is a beer that hasn't been through a whiskey barrel. You know, so they've managed to get past that point. But let's see what it's like. I'm confident. I am, you know. I want to be confident because I've always said I do want beers to be good. If I buy a beer, I want it to be a nice beer. It doesn't have to be groundbreaking. It doesn't have to be absolutely world-shatteringly wonderful and everything else. But if it's a nice, good, pleasant, well-balanced beer with nice flavours, good levels, things like that, then I'm actually quite happy. I think that's the kind of minimum that people are kind of looking for. It's got to be drinkable, is the first one. Secondly, it's got to have the flavours. If people are buying it and reading the label, then make sure the flavours are there. Don't turn around and say, oh, well, hey, it's got this, that and the other, and it's not there. You're thinking, well, you lied. Now, I know obviously flavours can be subjective, and some people will pick up flavours that other people don't, and vice versa, and things like that. So that's why maybe not to put the flavours on and let people, find the flavours for themselves and what ones come through to them is probably a far better way. And for God's sake, don't pair it with food. Don't give food pairing advice and that nonsense. That just drives me up the wall. I just don't see the point of that, because at the end of the day, some people will drink beer not with food, and they're not interested in drinking it with food. Other people do drink it with food, but they only drink certain types of beer with food. Some people obviously do a lot of cooking with beer and things like that, and actually they make food from the beer. So just stop trying to guide people and kind of push them into areas where they might not want to go, or they're not interested in going. Leave them alone. They've paid for the damn thing. They don't need your helping hand to guide them, just like, oh, refreshingly, a refreshingly golden ale. Well, no, it's just a golden ale. I'll decide whether it's refreshing. I don't give a crap whether you think it's refreshing. I'm the one that's now paid for it. It's my property now, so it's up to me. And if I don't find it refreshing, you can write anything you can on the bloody bottle. If I don't find it refreshing, then it ain't going to be refreshing. Okay, it's that simple as that. So all you do is make yourself look stupid by saying, oh, refreshingly golden ale. Well, I don't find it refreshing, so you're lying through your fucking teeth. So there you go. So don't put that, just say golden ale. And let other people work out what it is and what it isn't. I've ranted already, and I'm only 5 minutes in. I'm 7 minutes in, and I can get the bloody thing poured. Right, where have we got? Why is everything all dirty? I'm not even using this glass. Oh, this is just draining the fucking wall. Right, I'll get that for the next one. Right, that one's clean. I don't know what's going on with that bloody thing. Bloody dishwasher. Well, she's back in Russia anyway, so I don't have to worry about that. Either that, I think it's the case as though she must empty the dishwasher with dirty hands. And she's like, hey, all over in my glasses, like, oh, fuck them. Get that up, you arsehole. Probably does something like that, because she is Russian. And Russians can be buggers. I'll be totally honest. They can be slicky buggers, so they can. But anyway, let's get the textured label. It's got points already. It's got a textured label. I'm joking. Right, let's get the pour in. Let's see what it's like. The old Perth. Land of St Johnstone today. St Johnstone Football Club is kind of based in Perth. Saying that, we used to have some cracking fights with them, because obviously they used to play in the same division as A United, which was kind of the main local team from where I grew up. And yes, I used to go there quite a lot with friends and things like that. My dad was obviously pals with the chairman, so we used to go there quite regular on Saturdays and things like that, so it used to be quite good. But when I was older, I used to go myself. I used to get some right ruckuses with the St Johnstone fans. And my actual main team is actually Dundee United, so yeah. People in Scotland can badmouth me and call me every name under the sun, and you know what? I'm everything and more. So there we go, this is what it looks like. It's kind of golden. There's a surprise. It's about, well, for people in the podcast who are listening on the podcast, it's about a 1 finger head. It's kind of golden colour, clear. Carbonation looks not too bad, not overly carbonated. It's a wee bit of carbonation, but it's not rampant. So let's see what it smells like. Now I'm getting light lemony tones and slight citrus tones. More lemony tones than citrus, I'll say that. And you're also getting slightly that kind of hoppy smell that you get with that sometimes. Slightly kind of soapy, hoppy smell. Get a little hint of malt, not really getting grain, but even then the malt's quite light, not really getting that much of a malt aroma. Mostly lemon, slight kind of off citrus, which in other words not lemon, and a slightly soapy, kind of hoppy smell. So let's see what it tastes like. Right, okay. Just something came through my head there. I've just taken the first sip. My mouth is obviously going to have to get acclimatised to it because I was eating an orange about 20 minutes ago, and I still think that's probably kind of playing on a wee bit because when I just took a sip there, I wasn't really getting any kind of real sweetness with it, but that could just because my mouth needs to get acclimatised, so we'll give it a minute. But what I was laughing at there was the initial flavours I was getting just reminds me of a kind of generic English golden ale. And is this what it's now got to, the Scottish, basically, beer industries as well? Basically, we've lost all our good brews to make Scottish beer, and the ones that are left, well, they're a fucking disaster with the Scottish beer, so why don't we start making English beers instead? That's one for the SNP and independents. Well, we all want to be independent, but make English beer because our own stuff's shit. You know, marvellous, absolutely marvellous. But yeah, it just went flashing through my head very quickly, and it just made me laugh, thinking, yeah, there's irony. Which of course there's nothing wrong with English beer at all. I actually drink more English beer than I do Scottish. Thank fuck. From that point of view, and I'm probably regretting all them years that I was drinking Scottish beer in Scotland, because apart from only a few different ones, it's quite disappointing to a degree from that point of view. But let's get this mouse acclimatised. You know what it reminds me of? I don't know if you look back in the series, I did an Isle of Wight series, and I think there's quite a few golden ales in that. And it just has that kind of reminiscence of Isle of Wight golden ales. So there you go. Yeah. The Solent in Scotland. There you go. Overall impressions is actually not too bad. For a golden ale, of course. My thing about golden, I prefer darker beers. I'll turn around and say that. I prefer darker beers. I don't mind golden ales because I prefer golden ales to lagers because I prefer beer to have a bit more flavour. So in the hot weather and the summer weather, which we're not really getting so much now, it's kind of buggered off. We've been had days and days of rain. Basically, July's been a washout. June's been quite good, but July's been an absolute washout so far. But in general, in the summertime, in nice hot weather, I prefer, if I'm going to drink something lighter, I'd rather have a golden ale than a lager. Because I just find lager, I mean, with a golden ale I can have a couple and it's fine. With lager, like I've said before, after one or two I just find it very boring, and it's like, you know, it's like drinking a swimming pool. After a while you just think, no, just need something with a bit more character, a bit more flavour and a bit more body. Plus, you usually find with ales they're less carbonated than lagers. So again, that just makes it easier, makes it more sessionable for me and things like that. It doesn't give me wind like Carling does. So yeah. So usually I will buy golden ales like people would buy lagers. But normally I would prefer darker beers and more kind of sessionable beers. Even in the summertime I prefer kind of darker beers. I will obviously, like I said before, I tend to kind of alternate my drinking, so I'll have a lighter beer and a darker beer, and I'll kind of switch between the two, and I'm having maybe an evening on the beer, as I say. Which of course the wife is away, so that means every night. But anyway, let's see what this tastes like. Right, it starts off with light malt at the start, a little bit of grain. There's a hint of sweetness. There isn't that much sweetness in it, especially in the front of the mouth. But you do start getting little hints of lemon, just little slight kind of aromas of lemon. Moves on to the mid-tongue, and that's, yes, you're starting to get more of the citrus, more of the lemon flavours. The malt's going to die down a bit. The wheat, the grain flavour, it's not really there at the front of the mouth, so it hasn't really kind of changed when it goes on to the mid-tongue. It hasn't really dissipated any more in the mid-tongue, but it's just, it's very light. Now, I think just because there's a little bit more bitterness or sourness coming from the kind of citrus flavours from the hops, you're getting a kind of feeling that there's a bit more sweetness in the mid-tongue than there is at the start of the mouth. And I just think it's just because of the slight offset of that kind of bitterness and sourness you're getting from the hops. But again, it's still quite light. It's not overly citrus and overly hopped. It's quite lightly hopped. And then it goes on to the aftertaste. And yeah, the flavours kind of dissipate. There isn't so much citrus or things like that flavouring in the aftertaste. It kind of lightens up in the aftertaste. So the kind of flavours start to kind of tail off. But I think they kind of dissipate a bit too quickly. And it just kind of leave you this kind of slightly soapy aftertaste that you get, that kind of slightly hoppy, soapy kind of sensation. And you're getting that kind of flavour at the end. So you are, which is okay. It's not the best flavour in the world, let's be totally honest, but I can assure you it's not the worst. But you're just getting that kind of sensation. You just feel that maybe the flavours in there, as they dissipate, because that's all they do, they just kind of weaken off into the aftertaste. And yeah, it's quite a light aftertaste because of that. And there isn't really any major flavour that kind of linger apart from this slight soapiness from the hops. And yeah, you could probably have a better finish. It could definitely have a better front of the mouth. Mid-tongue is fine. Mid-tongue's not too bad. But yeah, it's just slightly lacking at the front of the mouth, and yeah, there's just not really much going on in the aftertaste, to be totally honest. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're sitting there thinking, well, come on, Graham, is it refreshing? Is it refreshing? And no, not really. It's just a golden nail, like I said. I wouldn't say it's overly refreshing or zingy or tangy or anything like that. It's like, it's alright. Yeah. Yeah, it's alright. There's nothing really to write home about. But it turned around and said it was basically, has won champion beer of Scotland. Jesus God. Maybe the Isle of Wight beer breweries maybe moved to Scotland and wipe the floor with them, to be totally honest, because it's strange. It's something that, I mean, maybe because it's in Scotland, maybe that's why the standards are so low in Scotland that a beer like this is classed as, it can win champion beer of Scotland. But I'll be totally honest, I mean, this type of beer up and down England, even in Wales and things like that, you'll find these beers 10 a penny, to be totally honest. And while they're fine and they tick the box that they're trying to tick, I always find that golden ales, they're not the best ales in the world. Let's be totally honest. Ales should be a bit darker, so ambers, bitters, browns, all that type of stuff, rubies, are far better in my view. Golden ales, yeah, they're fine. They're kind of, I always find that they're a bit of a hybrid. It's a kind of cross between an ale and a lager, to be totally honest. And I don't mind them, but quite a lot of people are kind of, well, a waste of time with a golden ale. And I can understand to a certain degree, but I think I'd rather have a golden ale than a lager most of the time. I mean, the odd exception. So, but yeah, I don't know how Don't know how this has managed to get Champion Beer of Scotland, apart from this, all the other entrants were Belhaven options. and Shitwater from Brewdog. And then you can look at it and think, yeah, well, maybe I can understand why this because it's actually kind of, it's okay, it's drinkable, it's nothing special, but I suppose compared to some of the offerings that I've tasted from basically Belhaven and Brewdog, it's like, jeez. So yeah, what would I give this out of 10? Maybe get a wee bit of tanning in the aftertaste, a little bit of tanning. I get a slightly tea bitterness in the aftertaste. But yeah, out of 10, I'll be totally honest, it really is nothing special. And I've had better golden ales from a lot of English breweries, and yeah, it's okay. So out of 10, I'm just going to give it a 5. It could have a better front of the mouth. It could have a far better aftertaste because there isn't really anything going on at all. You could probably get rid of the slight soapiness from the hops. That would be a good thing. And overall, yeah, 5 out of 10 is all I can really give it. It's just kind of a box standard. Would I say it's a champion beer? No. To me, I wouldn't class this as a champion beer. Other people might, which is great, that's fine. It's all to do with people's own perspective and opinions, but my opinion is, yeah, it's nothing that special. Would I recommend it? Well, if you're going about, yeah, give it a go. If it's supposed to be a champion beer of Scotland, people might be interested in trying it, but don't get overly excited, because I've got a funny feeling you might be a bit disappointed. But yeah, I would just say it's a box average, 5 out of 10, golden ale, nothing special. To me, definitely not a champion. It's a 500ml bottle, it's 4.1%, it's roughly about £2. Thanks for watching, cheers, and bye for now.